What do you do when your own son calls mid-meeting and says he sold your ranch and your horses? How do you answer when he thinks you have no power left? Only memories? I stayed calm, because he forgot one thing. The ranch he sold was never his to sell. My name is Graham Ellery, and I'm 58 years old. I've spent the last 30 years managing the same ranch in Montana, the one my father built from nothing, the one where I raised my son after my wife passed. I'm the kind of man people don't notice much. I show up early, I do the work, I keep my word. I don't make noise. I don't need applause. That's how I was raised, and that's how I've lived. The conference room downtown smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet. 6 of us sat around a table covered in spreadsheets, talking about hay prices and winter feed contracts. I was there representing our supplier network, answering questions about delivery schedules. It was the kind of meeting where you nod a lot and speak when spoken to. I'd driven 2 hours to be there, pressed my good shirt, made sure I was on time. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again and again. The third time, I excused myself. Sorry, folks. Need to take this. I stepped into the hallway, checked the screen. Unknown number. I almost sent it to voicemail, but something made me answer. Dad. It was Colton, my son. His voice had that edge to it, that bright, nervous energy he gets when he thinks he's won something. Colton, I said. I'm in a meeting. What's going on? I'm calling because I wanted you to hear it from me first, he said. We sold the ranch. And the horses. All of it. We're moving to Canada next month. Bree's already got the apartment lined up. Toronto. It's happening, Dad. We're finally doing something big. I stood there in the hallway with the fluorescent lights humming overhead. A water cooler gurgled somewhere. I could hear my own breathing. You sold the ranch, I said. Flat. No question mark. Yeah, we got a great price. Way more than we thought. The buyer's some tech guy from California who wants the authentic Montana experience. He's paying cash. We close in 2 weeks. I leaned against the wall. Who signed the papers? What? Who signed the papers, Colton? I did, obviously. Bree and I both did. Look, I know you're probably upset, but this is what's best for us. We need a fresh start. Bree's been saying it for months. You can't expect us to stay there forever, living in the middle of nowhere, taking care of a property that's falling apart. You forgot one thing, I said. Silence. Then, what? You forgot one thing. I heard him pull the phone away from his mouth, muffled voices. Then a woman's voice came on, sharp and loud. What do you mean, he forgot one thing? Bree, my daughter-in-law. Are you seriously trying to guilt-trip him right now? We made this decision together. It's our life, Graham, not yours. You're just the manager. You've always been just the manager. I laughed. Once, dry, not happy. Goodbye, Colton, I said. Wait, what do you... I ended the call. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds. My hands were steady. My heart rate was normal. I felt a strange, cold clarity wash over me, like stepping into a river on a summer day when you've been sweating for hours. I went back into the conference room, sat down, apologized for the interruption. Someone asked if everything was okay. I said it was fine, just family stuff. We finished the meeting. I shook hands. I thanked them for their time. I walked out to my truck like nothing had happened. Because that's what I do. I stay calm. I keep my face neutral. I don't react in public. But sitting in the truck cab, alone, I opened my calendar on my phone. There was a date circled in red. October 12th, 23 years ago. The day my father sat me down at the kitchen table and told me something I'd never forgotten. Graham, he'd said, I'm setting things up so nobody can take this place from you just because they think they're entitled to it. Not even family. Especially not family. Respect is earned. And if someone tries to disrespect you, tries to erase you, there are rules in place, protections. You remember that. I hadn't thought about that conversation in years. I started the truck. My phone buzzed again. Voicemail. I played it on speaker. Hi, Mr. Ellery. This is Kira Gent from Summit Realty. I'm calling regarding the property transaction we're facilitating for your son and daughter-in-law. We have a few documents that need your signature for the closing. If you could give me a call back at your earliest convenience, that would be wonderful. Looking forward to working with you. Thanks. Her voice was smooth, professional, the kind of voice that's used to closing deals fast. I didn't call her back. I drove home. The ranch was 2 hours north, up through the mountains, past towns that were barely towns anymore. I listened to the radio, news, weather, someone talking about grain futures. I didn't think about Colton. I didn't think about Bree. I thought about my father. I thought about the rules he'd put in place. When I got home, the ranch looked the same as it always did. The barn stood solid against the horizon. The horses were in the pasture, their shapes dark against the fading light. Nolan, my caretaker, was up by the fence line, checking the water trough. I parked the truck and went inside. The kitchen was quiet. I made coffee. I sat at the table where my father had sat when he told me about the protections. The table where my wife and I used to eat breakfast before she got sick. The table where Colton used to do his homework, complaining about math, asking when he could ride again. I opened my laptop. I checked my email. There it was, from Kira Gent. Subject line, urgent, closing documents required. I didn't open it. I drank my coffee. I stared at the wall. I thought about the name on the paperwork, the name that mattered, and I smiled, just a little, because Colton had forgotten one thing. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when Colton loved this place, when he'd wake up before dawn without being asked, pull on his boots, and meet me in the barn. He'd help with the feeding, the mucking, the endless small repairs that keep a ranch running. He'd sit on the fence and watch the sun come up over the mountains, and he'd say, "Dad, this is the best place in the world." That was before his mother got sick, before the cancer took her slowly, month by month, until there was nothing left but a hospital bed in our living room and the sound of machines beeping through the night. Colton was 20 when she went, old enough to understand what was happening, too young to know how to handle it. He stayed for the memorial service. He stayed for a week after. Then he left for the city, said he needed space, needed to figure things out. I understood. Grief does strange things to people. I didn't push, but the visits got shorter, the calls got colder. He'd come back for Christmas, for his birthday, and it was like he was visiting a museum. He'd walk through the house, look at the photos on the walls, nod politely, and leave as soon as he could. Then he met Bree. I met her at Thanksgiving 3 years ago. She was polished, sharp. She wore designer jeans and talked about her marketing job and her plans to build a brand. She took photos of everything, the barn, the horses, the sunset. She posted them online with captions like rustic dreams and finding myself in big sky country. She called it content. I called it performance. At dinner, she asked me how long I'd been working here. Working here? I said. Yeah. How long have you been the ranch manager? Colton shifted in his seat. Bree, this is my dad's place. He grew up here. Oh, she said, smiling. I thought it was like a family property, inherited. It is, Colton said. So it's yours, or? Colton looked at me. I looked at him. I didn't say anything. It's complicated, Colton said. Bree nodded, but I saw the way she looked at me after that, like I was an obstacle, like I was something to be managed. The next morning, I was in the barn when I heard them talking outside. He seems nice, Bree said. He is, Colton said. But when does the property actually transfer to you? Because we can't build a life here, Colton. This isn't a real life. This is like playing cowboy. It's not playing, Colton said. This is how people live here. People who are stuck, Bree said. People who don't have options. We have options. We could sell this place, move somewhere actually interesting, do something that matters. This place matters, Colton said, but his voice was weak, uncertain, and I knew right then that I was losing him. Over the next 2 years, the visits got worse. Bree would make comments, little digs. Must be nice to have so much free time. Don't you get bored out here? Graham, do you ever think about retiring? And Colton started echoing her. He'd ask questions about the future of the property. He'd joke that I was just the help. He'd say things like, when we take over, we'll probably modernize, sell off the horses, maybe lease the land. At a family dinner last Christmas, Bree raised her glass and said, to new beginnings, to fresh starts, to leaving the past behind. Everyone toasted. Colton grinned. I drank my water and said nothing. But I noticed things, small things, a folder missing from the office, a casual question about where the title was kept, Bree asking Nolan about horse registration papers, saying she was just curious. I didn't react. I watched. Because my father taught me something else too. He taught me that when someone shows you who they are, you believe them. And when they try to take something from you, you don't argue. You don't beg. You wait. You prepare. And then you act. I woke up the next morning to a text message. It was from Colton. No greeting, no small talk. Closing meeting is set for October 30th, 2 p.m., Hotel Meridian downtown. You don't need to be there, but the buyer wants to meet you. Professional courtesy. I stared at the screen. Professional courtesy. Like I was the landscaper. Like I was someone they'd tip on the way out. I didn't reply. I got dressed. I went outside. Nolan was by the barn, fixing a gate hinge. Morning, Graham. Morning. He looked at me. You all right? Fine. You don't look fine. I almost told him. Almost said, my son sold this place without telling me, and he thinks I have no power left. But I didn't. Instead, I said, anything unusual yesterday? Nolan frowned. Funny you mention it. 2 guys drove up to the gate around noon, didn't get out, just sat there for a while, took some pictures, then left. Pictures of what? The barn, the house, the pasture. One of them had a fancy camera, looked like real estate types. I nodded. Anyone else come by? Nope, just them. All right, keep an eye out. If anyone shows up again, get their plates. Don't confront them, just watch. Nolan studied me. Something going on? Maybe. Need me to do anything? Just what you're doing. Keep things running. Keep the animals safe. He nodded slowly. Understood. I spent the rest of the morning in the barn. I checked on the horses, fed them, brushed them. I stood in the tack room and looked at the rows of saddles, the bridles hanging on hooks, the smell of leather and hay and decades of work. This place wasn't just land. It wasn't just buildings. It was a living thing. It had breath. It had memory. Every board, every fence post, every stone in the foundation carried the weight of something bigger than money. My father understood that. My wife understood that. Colton used to understand it. But Bree didn't. And now, neither did my son. I went back to the house. I made lunch. I opened my laptop again and started going through files, old documents, papers my father had given me, instructions he'd left in a sealed envelope that I was supposed to open if things go wrong. I'd never opened it, never needed to. I opened it now. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, dated 23 years ago. It read, Graham, if you're reading this, someone tried to take what's yours. Someone forgot that respect is a condition, not a given. The ranch is protected. The trust is ironclad. They can't sell what they don't own. They can't transfer what they don't control. And if they try, the consequences are automatic. You don't have to fight. You just have to let the systems work. Stay calm, stay quiet, and let them hang themselves. Dad. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it, and put it back in the envelope. I picked up my phone. I called a number I hadn't used in 5 years. Evelyn Maris Law Office. It's Graham Ellery. I need to speak with Evelyn. One moment. A pause. Then her voice, sharp, efficient. Graham, it's been a while. What's going on? I need to confirm something. About authority. Authority for what? The ranch. Silence. Then, did someone try to sell it? Yes. Who? My son. Another pause. Longer this time. When? 2 days ago. Closing is in 2 weeks. Jesus, Graham. Why didn't you call me sooner? I'm calling now. All right, come to the office tomorrow. Bring everything. We'll handle this. I don't want to stop it. What? I don't want to stop it. Not yet. I want to let it play out. Graham. I want them to walk into that closing room thinking they won. I want the buyer there. I want the realtor there. I want the notary there. I want everyone in one place, with their phones out, with their contracts ready. And then I want them to understand. Evelyn was quiet. Then she said, You're sure about this? Yes. All right. Come in tomorrow. We'll make sure everything's airtight. But Graham, if this goes wrong, it won't. I ended the call. I went to the kitchen window and looked out at the ranch. The sun was setting. The horses were grazing. Nolan was walking back from the barn, his silhouette long against the dirt. Everything looked the same. Peaceful, normal. But underneath, the ground was shifting. The next morning, I drove to town. The feed store was my first stop. I needed supplies, but more than that, I needed to hear what people were saying. The moment I walked in, I knew. The clerk, Danny, looked up and his face changed. Not quite pity, not quite curiosity, something in between. Graham, he said. Hey, how's it going? Fine. Need 50 pounds of oats and some mineral blocks. Sure. He moved slow, like he was buying time. Heard you're, making some changes out there. I looked at him. What kind of changes? Just, heard there's new people coming in. Buyers, city folks. Where'd you hear that? Around. He shrugged. You know how it is. Small town. Word travels. I nodded. Word travels fast when people want it to. He handed me the receipt. Look, Graham, I don't know the details, but if you need anything, you let me know, all right? Appreciate it, Danny. I loaded the supplies into the truck. Then I sat there in the parking lot watching people come and go. 3 different folks glanced at me, looked away quickly, kept walking. By the time I left, I knew the rumor was everywhere. Graham Ellery's getting pushed out. His son sold the ranch. Poor guy, spent his whole life there. Now he's got nothing. I drove back toward the ranch. Halfway there, I saw something that made me slow down. At the gate, there was a new lockbox. Realtor style. Silver. Shiny. Attached to the fence post, like it had always been there. I parked the truck and got out. The lockbox had a keypad. A small sticker on it read, Summit Realty for showing access only. I stood there looking at it. The wind was blowing hard, kicking up dust. The gate creaked on its hinges. This was the line. This was the moment when they stopped pretending I had any say. I heard a truck coming up the road. I turned. It was a white Ford, clean and new with California plates. It pulled up next to mine. A man got out, mid-40s, expensive boots, sunglasses. He smiled like we were old friends. You must be Graham, he said, sticking out his hand. I didn't take it. Who are you? Derek Sloan. I'm the contractor for the new owner. Just here to take some measurements, get a feel for the property. We're planning a renovation. Gonna turn the barn into a kind of event space. Modern rustic, Keep the bones but upgrade everything else. Who told you that you could be here? He laughed. The owner. Well, the future owner. Closing's in 2 weeks, but we got early access to start planning. It's all in the contract. Whose contract? Colton Ellery's. Your son, right? Great guy. Super excited about the move. Said you'd probably be around. Thought I'd introduce myself. I looked at him for a long moment. Then I said, "What's your company's name?" "Sloan Design and Build, out of San Francisco." "And you do this a lot? Buy ranches, turn them into event spaces?" "Not me, my client. But yeah, he's done a few. He's got this vision, authentic Montana, but with, Wi-Fi and craft cocktails." I nodded slowly. "Craft cocktails?" "Exactly." He grinned. "Look, I know change is hard, but this is going to be good for the area. Jobs, tourism, exposure. Your son made the right call." I didn't respond. I just memorized his face, his truck, his tone. Then I got back in my truck and drove through the gate, leaving him standing there. When I got to the house, Nolan was waiting. "Saw that guy at the gate," he said. "Who was he?" "Contractor. Says he's working for the buyer." "They already sending people in?" "Apparently." Nolan spat into the dirt. "That's bold." "It is." "You want me to lock the gate?" "No, let them come. Let them measure. Let them plan. Let them think they're in charge." Nolan frowned. "You sure?" "I'm sure." He studied me. "Graham, I've known you a long time. I've never seen you like this." "Like what?" "Calm. Too calm." I almost smiled. "I'm fine, Nolan. Just thinking." "About what?" "About how my father used to say that when someone disrespects you, you don't yell. You don't threaten. You just let them keep going until they can't go back." Nolan nodded slowly. "All right. I trust you. But if you need me to do something, you say the word." "I will." That night, I sat in the kitchen and went through more files. I found the USB drive Colton had left on the counter a few weeks ago. I'd ignored it at the time, figured it was just photos or something. Now I plugged it in. It was a folder full of documents, listing photos, marketing materials, a draft announcement for social media. Exciting news! After a lot of soul-searching, Bree and I have decided to start a new chapter in Toronto. We're selling the family ranch to an amazing buyer who's going to honor its legacy while bringing it into the future. This is bittersweet, but it's the right move for us. Stay tuned for more updates. I closed the laptop. I sat there in the dark, listening to the wind outside. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Hi, Mr. Ellery. This is Kira Gent again. Just following up on my voicemail. We really need those documents signed ASAP. Can you confirm you'll be at the closing on the 30th? Thanks so much." I deleted the message. Then I opened my contacts and found the name I was looking for. Ruth Calder, accountant, trustee liaison, the person who handled the financial side of the trust my father had set up. I called her. "Ruth Calder." "Ruth, it's Graham Ellery." "Graham, it's been forever. How are you?" "I need to ask you something about the trust." Her tone shifted. "What about it?" "If someone tried to sell property that's held in the trust, what happens?" Silence. Then, who tried to sell it? "Answer the question first." She sighed. "It's not possible. The trust owns the property. The beneficiaries don't have authority to sell. Only the trustee can authorize a sale, and only under specific conditions." "What conditions?" "Well, there are standard ones. Unanimous beneficiary consent, trustee approval, legal review. But your father also added something unusual, a respect clause." "Tell me about it." "If a beneficiary attempts to dispossess or disrespect the primary steward, which is you, their interest in the trust can be suspended or redirected. It's meant to protect you from exactly this kind of situation." "Has anyone contacted you? A realtor? A buyer?" "No. Should they have?" "Probably." "Graham, what's going on?" "I'll explain later. For now, I need you to do two things. First, document that we had this conversation. Second, if anyone contacts you about a sale, don't confirm or deny anything. Just say it requires legal review." "All right. But Graham, if your son is trying to—" "He is." "Oh, God." "I'm handling it." "How?" "Quietly." I ended the call. I went upstairs. I stood in Colton's old room. It still had his posters on the walls, his trophies on the shelves, his high school graduation photo on the dresser. I remembered the day he graduated, how proud he'd been, how he'd hugged me and said, "Thanks, Dad, for everything." That boy was gone now. Or maybe he'd never existed. Maybe I'd just been seeing what I wanted to see. I turned off the light and went to bed. I didn't sleep much. The feed store wasn't the only place talking. Over the next few days, I heard it everywhere. At the gas station, at the post office, at the diner where I stopped for coffee. Marla Venn was there. She's a rancher, older than me, tough as nails. She'd been running her place for 40 years. She saw me and waved me over. "Graham, sit." I sat. "Heard some things," she said. "Wanted to check on you." "I'm fine." "That's not what I asked." I looked at her. "What did you hear?" "That your son's selling, that you're losing the place, that you didn't know until it was too late." 2 out of 3. "Which 2? He is selling. I didn't know until it was done." "And the third?" "I'm not losing anything." She leaned back, studying me. "You sound sure." "I am." "Good. Because people are watching. And if you let them roll over you, it sets a bad example. Makes the rest of us look weak." "I'm not letting anyone roll over me." "Then why's there a lockbox on your gate?" "Because I'm letting them think they already won." Marla smiled, slow and sharp. "You sneaky old man." "I learned from my father. He was a smart one, cold, but smart." "He was." She sipped her coffee. "You need anything, you call me. Witnesses, testimony, whatever, I'll be there." "Appreciate it." I left the diner and drove back to the ranch. When I got there, I saw something that made my jaw tighten. A moving company estimate. Sitting on the porch. Addressed to Colton and Bree. I picked it up. The company was out of Billings. The destination was Toronto. The estimated weight was 12,000 pounds. They were serious. They were really doing this. I crumpled the paper and threw it in the trash. Nolan came around the side of the house, saw my face, stopped. "What happened?" "Nothing. Just more of the same." "Graham, you're scaring me a little." "Why?" "Because you're too calm. I've seen you mad before. I've seen you frustrated. But this is different." "I'm just thinking." "About what?" "About how far they're willing to go." Nolan shook his head. "They're gonna be surprised." "Yes, they are." That afternoon, I made another call. This time to the county records office. "Clerk's office, this is Diane." "Hi, Diane. This is Graham Ellery. I need to check on a filing." "What kind of filing?" "Property transfer. Or attempted transfer." "Do you have a case number?" "No, but it would have been filed in the last 2 weeks. Property address is 4821 Ridgeline Road." I heard her typing. Then, "I see a preliminary filing here. It's marked as pending." "Who filed it?" "It says Colton Ellery, but it's flagged." "Flagged for what?" "Insufficient documentation. It requires trustee authorization, but none was provided, so it's on hold." "Does the person who filed it know that?" "They should. We sent a notice." "When?" 3 days ago." "And if they proceed without fixing it?" "Then the transaction won't be recognized. It'll be invalid." "Thank you, Diane." I hung up. I sat there at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. They knew, or they should know, but they were still pushing forward, which meant either Kira Gent was lying to them or they were lying to themselves. Either way, it didn't matter. The system was already stopping them. I just had to let it happen. The next day, I got a calendar invite. It came through email. Final walkthrough, October 29th, 1 p.m. Location, the ranch. Attendees, Colton Ellery, Bree Ellery, Derek Sloan, Kira Gent, and Graham Ellery, optional. I stared at the word optional. I clicked accept. Then I called Evelyn. "They're doing a walkthrough the day before closing," I said. "Are you going to be there?" "Yes." "Graham, I strongly advise." "I'm not going to confront them, I'm just going to watch." Watch what? Watch them perform. Watch them pretend. Watch them convince themselves. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "All right, but if anything happens, you call me immediately." "I will." "And Graham?" "Yeah?" "Don't do anything dramatic. No speeches, no threats. Just let the law work." "That's the plan." I hung up. I went outside. The sun was low. The mountains were dark against the sky. The horses were quiet in the pasture. Nolan was checking the fence line. I stood there, hands in my pockets, and I thought about my father. He used to say, "Revenge isn't loud. It's not violent. It's just the truth showing up at the right time." And the truth was about to show up. The morning of October 29th was cold, frost on the grass, breath visible in the air. I was up before dawn, same as always. I fed the horses. I checked the barn. I made coffee. Nolan came by around 8. "You ready for today?" he asked. "As ready as I'll ever be." "You want me there?" "No, stay out of sight, but keep your phone on." "Understood." At 12:30, I saw the cars coming up the road. 3 of them. Colton's SUV, a white sedan with Summit Realty plates, and Derek Sloan's truck. They parked near the house. I stayed inside, watching through the kitchen window. Colton got out first. He was wearing a jacket I didn't recognize. Expensive. City clothes. Bree followed, her hair perfect, her smile bright. She had her phone out, already filming. Kira Gent stepped out of the sedan. Tall, polished. She shook hands with everyone like they were old friends. Derek came last, carrying a clipboard. They stood there talking for a few minutes, laughing, excited. Then Colton looked toward the house. I opened the door and stepped out. "Hey, Dad," Colton said. His voice was loud, performative. "Thanks for letting us do this." "It's still my home," I said. "Right. Yeah. Of course." He glanced at Bree. "We just wanted to show Derek and Kira around. Finalize some details." "Details?" "Yeah. Like where we'll stage things for the photos. What we'll need to move. That kind of thing." I nodded. "Go ahead." They walked past me into the house. I followed. Bree was already filming everything. "Oh my God, this kitchen is so rustic. Derek, can you imagine this with modern fixtures? White cabinets, marble counters. It would be amazing." "Totally," Derek said. "We'll gut it. Keep the bones. But yeah, full remodel." Kira was taking notes. "And the barn? That's the real centerpiece, right?" "Absolutely," Colton said. "That's where the magic happens. We'll show you." They walked out toward the barn. I stayed a few steps behind. Inside, the horses were calm. Nolan had fed them earlier, so they were content. But when Bree walked in, filming, one of them snorted and backed away. "Whoa, easy," Colton said, laughing nervously. "Are these included in the sale?" Derek asked. "Some of them," Colton said. "We'll work that out." I spoke up. "No, you won't." Everyone turned. "What?" Colton said. "The horses aren't part of the sale." "Dad, don't start." "I'm not starting anything. I'm stating a fact. The horses are registered separately. They're not property of the ranch. They're owned independently." Kira stepped forward, smiling. "Mr. Ellery, I understand this is emotional, but the contract includes all livestock and equipment. It's standard language." "Who wrote the contract?" "I did." "And who reviewed it?" She hesitated. "Well, the buyer's attorney and—" "Did anyone check ownership records?" "We relied on the seller's disclosure." I looked at Colton. "What did you disclose?" He shifted. "I disclosed everything." "Did you disclose that you don't own the horses?" "Did you disclose that the property is held in a trust?" Silence. Kira's smile faded. "What trust?" I didn't answer. I just looked at her. Then I looked at Colton. "You didn't tell them." "There's nothing to tell," Colton said, his voice rising. "The ranch is mine. It's been in the family for decades. You're just trying to complicate things." "I'm not trying to complicate anything. I'm telling you the truth. And the truth is, you can't sell what you don't own. Bree stepped forward. This is ridiculous. Graham, you're just mad because we're moving on. You're trying to sabotage us. I'm not sabotaging anyone. Then why are you making this so difficult? I looked at her. Really looked at her. And I said very calmly, because you forgot one thing. Her face went red. What thing? You forgot to check who actually has authority. Derek cleared his throat. Okay, look, I don't know what's going on here, but I was told this was a clean sale. If there are ownership issues, we need to resolve them before closing. There are, I said. Kira pulled out her phone. I'll call the title company. We'll sort this out. You do that, I said. Colton grabbed my arm. Dad, stop, please. You're embarrassing me. I looked at his hand on my arm, then I looked at his face. Let go. He did, slowly. This is my home, I said. Not yours, not yet. And if you want it to be yours, you're going to have to do this the right way. We are doing it the right way, Bree said. No, you're doing it the fast way. And fast isn't always right. I walked out of the barn. I went back to the house. I didn't look back. Behind me, I heard voices, urgent, confused, angry, but I didn't care. I'd said what needed to be said. Now I'd let them figure out the rest. That evening, I got a call from Evelyn. Kira Gent called me, she said. What did she want? She wanted to know about the trust. I told her it requires legal review. She asked if the sale could still proceed. I told her no. What did she say? She hung up. I almost laughed. Good. Graham, they're going to come at you hard now. They're going to accuse you of sabotage. They're going to try to pressure you. Let them. Are you sure about this? I'm sure. That night, my phone lit up with messages. From Colton. Why are you doing this? From Bree. You're ruining our lives. From Kira. We need to meet ASAP to resolve this issue. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I called Ruth. Ruth, I need you to prepare a document. A full accounting of the trust, ownership, authority, beneficiary terms, everything. When do you need it? Tomorrow. Graham, that's not a lot of time. I know, but I need it. Can you do it? She sighed. Yes, I'll have it ready by noon. Thank you. I hung up. I sat in the dark kitchen listening to the wind outside. Tomorrow was October 30th, the closing day, and I was ready. The next morning, I got dressed like I was going to court. Clean shirt, pressed pants, boots polished. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. Calm, cold, certain. I drove to Evelyn's office first. She handed me a folder. Everything you need is in here, she said. Trust documents, ownership records, correspondence with the county, Ruth's accounting report, and the clause. The respect clause. Yes, it's ironclad. If Colton proceeded with this sale knowing he didn't have authority, and if he did it in a way that attempted to dispossess you, then his interest in the trust is suspended, possibly permanently. What does that mean in plain English? It means he loses his inheritance. The property stays with you, and if something happens to you, it goes to a designated secondary beneficiary. Who? According to your father's will, that would be a conservation trust. The ranch would be protected, forever. I stared at her. He thought of everything. He did. I took the folder. Thank you, Evelyn. Graham, be careful. They're going to be angry. I know. I drove to the Hotel Meridian. It was downtown, a mid-range place that tried to look fancy. The kind of hotel where business deals happen and nobody asks too many questions. I parked in the lot. I sat there for a few minutes, looking at the building. Then I got out and went inside. The lobby was bright, clean. A chandelier hung from the ceiling, glittering. There was a coffee bar in the corner, and a few people sitting around with laptops. I found the meeting room, conference room B. The door was closed. I checked my watch. 1:55 p.m. I opened the door. Everyone was already there. Colton, Bree, Kira Gent, Derek Sloan, a woman I didn't recognize, probably the notary, and a man in a suit, probably the buyer. They all looked up when I walked in. "Graham," Kira said, standing. "Thank you for coming." I nodded. I sat down at the far end of the table. The buyer, a man in his early 40s with slicked back hair and an expensive watch, leaned forward. "You must be the ranch manager. I'm Todd Emery, looking forward to working with you during the transition." "I'm not the ranch manager," I said. "Oh, I thought, I'm the steward. There's a difference." He frowned. "Okay. Well, whatever your title is, I'm excited about this property. It's going to be a real gem once we modernize it." I didn't respond. Kira cleared her throat. "All right, let's get started. We're here to finalize the sale of the property located at 4821 Ridgeline Road. The purchase price is $2.3 million. The buyers are Todd Emery and his investment group. The sellers are Colton Ellery and Bree Ellery." The notary opened her folder. "I'll need to see identification from all parties, and I'll need confirmation of signing authority." Colton pulled out his driver's license. Bree did the same. The notary looked at them, then at me. "And you, Mr. Ellery?" "I'm not signing anything," I said. "Then why are you here?" "Professional courtesy." Kira laughed nervously. "Okay, well, we don't actually need Graham's signature. The sellers are Colton and Bree. They have full authority." The notary looked at her paperwork. "It says here the property is held in a family trust. Is that correct?" Silence. Colton shifted. "It's complicated." "Complicated how?" "The trust is just a formality," Bree said. "It doesn't change anything. Colton is the beneficiary. He has the right to sell." The notary frowned. "Beneficiaries don't typically have selling authority. That usually requires trustee approval." I spoke up. "She's right." Everyone looked at me. The trust requires trustee approval for any sale. It also requires legal review. Neither of those things happened. Kira's face went pale. "That's not... I was told this was straightforward." "You were told wrong." Todd stood up. "Wait, are you saying this sale isn't legitimate?" "I'm saying it's not authorized." "Then why are we here?" I looked at Colton. "Ask him." Colton's jaw tightened. "Dad, stop. You're embarrassing yourself." "Am I?" "Yes. You're making this into something it's not. The ranch is part of the family estate. I'm family. Therefore, I can sell it." "That's not how it works." "Then how does it work?" I pulled out the folder Evelyn had given me. I set it on the table. "This is how it works." Kira reached for the folder. I didn't stop her. She opened it. Her eyes went wide. "Oh my God," she whispered. "What?" Todd said. She slid the folder toward him. He read. His face went from confusion to anger in about 10 seconds. "You told me you owned this property," he said to Colton. "I do." "No, you don't. You're a beneficiary of a trust. You don't have selling authority. You don't even have management authority. This whole thing is..." He trailed off. Then he stood up. "This is invalid. The sale is invalid." "No, no, no," Colton said, standing too. "We can fix this. We just need my dad to sign off." "Right, Dad? You just need to approve it. That's all." I looked at him. "No." "What?" "I'm not approving anything." "Why not?" "Because you tried to cut me out. You tried to sell my home without telling me. You treated me like I was nothing. And now you want my help?" Bree stood up, her voice shaking. "You're doing this out of spite. You're punishing us because we wanted to build a life." "I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting what's mine." "It's not yours," she screamed. "It's Colton's. It's his inheritance." "No," I said. "It's not. Not anymore." The room went silent. Todd looked at Kira. "Did you know about any of this?" No. I was told by the sellers that they had full authority." "Then you didn't do your job." "I relied on their disclosure." "And they lied." Colton slammed his hand on the table. "I didn't lie. This is my property. It's always been my property. I opened the folder and pulled out a specific page. The respect clause. I slid it across the table. Read that. Colton picked it up. His hands were shaking. He read it once, then again. Then he looked at me. What is this? It's a clause my father put in place. It says that if a beneficiary attempts to dispossess or disrespect the steward, their interest in the trust is suspended permanently. You can't do this. I didn't do it. You did. When you sold the ranch without telling me. When you treated me like I was invisible. When you tried to erase me. Bree grabbed the paper. She read it. Her face went white. This isn't legal, she said. You can't just take away his inheritance. It's not me, it's the trust, and it's automatic. The moment you filed that sale, the moment you claimed authority you didn't have, the clause was triggered. That's not fair. Fair? I looked at her. You wanted me gone. You wanted me erased. You wanted to pretend I didn't exist, and now you're upset because there are consequences? Todd stood up. I'm done. This is a nightmare. I'm calling my lawyer. He walked out. Derek followed. The notary closed her folder. I can't proceed with this. The documentation is insufficient. I'm sorry. She left too. Kira looked at Colton. You need to fix this. If you don't, I'm going to have serious legal problems. I relied on your word. I didn't know, Colton shouted. That's not my problem. She grabbed her things and left. Now it was just me, Colton, and Bree. Colton sat down. He put his head in his hands. Dad, he said. Please, we can work this out. No, we can't. Why not? Because you broke the one rule that mattered. You disrespected me. You tried to take away the one thing I've spent my entire life protecting. And you did it without even asking. I didn't think I had to ask. That's the problem. Bree stood up. We're going to fight this. We're going to get a lawyer. We're going to take you to court. Go ahead, I said. But the trust is ironclad. My father made sure of that. And every lawyer you talk to is going to tell you the same thing. You don't have a case. She grabbed Colton's arm. Come on, we're leaving. They walked toward the door. Colton stopped. He turned. I'm sorry, he said. I looked at him. I know. Is that enough? No. He nodded slowly. Then he left. I sat there alone in the conference room. The table was covered in papers, folders, contracts that would never be signed. I heard footsteps in the hallway. A door slammed. Voices, angry and fading. Then silence. I picked up my phone. I called Nolan. It's done, I said. Done how? They're gone. The sale's invalid. The ranch is safe. He let out a long breath. Thank God. Yeah. You all right? I will be. I hung up. I gathered my papers. I walked out of the hotel into the cold afternoon air. The sky was gray. The wind was sharp. But I felt lighter than I had in weeks. I got in my truck. I started the engine. And I drove home. I pulled into the ranch just as the sun was setting. The mountains were dark shapes against the red sky. The barn stood solid and familiar. Nolan was by the fence, waiting. I got out of the truck. He walked over. How bad was it? He asked. Bad enough. But it's over? It's over. He nodded. Good. I'll finish up here. I went inside. The house was quiet. I made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table and looked at the folder Evelyn had given me. The trust documents. The respect clause. The proof that my father had seen this coming decades ago. My phone buzzed. A text from Colton. We're leaving tomorrow. Bree's family has a place we can stay. I just wanted you to know. I stared at it. Then I typed back, Be safe. He didn't respond. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the horses were grazing. The barn lights were on. Everything looked the same. Peaceful. Like nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something had broken that couldn't be fixed. The next morning, I was up early. I fed the horses. I checked the barn. I walked the fence line. Nolan met me by the gate. You heard from him? he asked. He texted last night, said they're leaving today. Good riddance. I didn't respond. Around noon, I saw a car coming up the road. I tensed, but it wasn't Colton. It was Marla Venn. She got out, walked over. Heard it got ugly. It did. You win? I didn't lose. She smiled. That's the same thing in my book. You did good, Graham. Your father would be proud. I hope so. She looked around. Place looks good. Peaceful. It is now. You need anything, you let me know. I will. She drove off. I stood there for a while, just looking at the ranch, at the barn, at the mountains beyond, at the life I'd fought to keep. My phone rang, unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Mr. Ellery, this is Deputy Jonas Pike. I'm calling regarding a complaint filed by Kira Gent about property access and alleged fraud. Can you come down to the station? When? This afternoon, if possible. I'll be there. I drove to the county sheriff's office. Deputy Pike was waiting. He was calm, professional. He led me to a small room and gestured to a chair. Mr. Ellery, I need to ask you some questions about the attempted sale of your property. Go ahead. Did you authorize your son to sell the ranch? No. Did you sign any documents related to the sale? No. Were you aware of the sale before it was initiated? Not until after it was already in motion. He nodded, taking notes. And the trust? Can you explain that? I pulled out the folder. The property is held in a family trust. My father set it up to protect it from exactly this kind of situation. Only the trustee can authorize a sale. My son isn't the trustee. I'm not the owner. The trust is. And who's the trustee? Ruth Calder. She's an accountant. She's been managing the trust for 20 years. Did anyone contact her before attempting the sale? No. He set down his pen. Then it sounds like Ms. Gent and your son moved forward without proper due diligence. That's correct. All right. I'll need to speak with Ruth Calder and your attorney, but based on what you're telling me, it sounds like this was a paperwork issue, not fraud. It was more than paperwork. They tried to sell something they didn't own. True, but proving intent is difficult. Ms. Gent claims she relied on your son's disclosure. Your son claims he believed he had authority. And you believe them? I believe it's complicated. He stood up. Look, Mr. Ellery, I can't charge anyone without evidence of criminal intent. But I can document this. And if Ms. Gent tries to retaliate, or if your son tries something else, you'll have a record. That's all I need. Good, you're free to go. I walked out. The sun was bright. Cold. I got in my truck and sat there for a moment. Then my phone rang again. This time, it was Evelyn. Graham, I just got a call from Bree's lawyer. She's threatening to sue for emotional distress and financial losses. Let her. She's also claiming that the respect clause is unenforceable. She says it's punitive and against public policy. Can she win? No. But she can make your life difficult for a while. I'll survive. I know you will. Just wanted to keep you informed. I hung up. I started the engine, and I drove back to the ranch. When I got there, Nolan was waiting by the barn. He looked worried. Someone was here, he said. Who? I don't know, but they left this. He handed me a piece of paper. It was a note, handwritten. You think you won, but you just destroyed your own son. Hope you're proud. I crumpled it up. Bree. Figured. She's just mad. She'll get over it. Will she? Eventually, or she won't. Either way, it's not my problem. Nolan studied me. You really okay with all this? I'm fine. You don't look fine. I'm standing. I'm breathing. The ranch is safe. That's fine enough. He nodded slowly. Then he walked back to the barn. I went inside. I made dinner. I sat at the table and ate alone. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I thought about Colton, about the boy he used to be, about the man he'd become. And I wondered if I'd done the right thing, if I'd been too hard, if I should have just let it go. But then I remembered the look on his face when he called me just the manager. The way Bree had laughed, the way they'd planned to erase me. And I knew I'd done the right thing. That night, I got a final text from Colton. I hope you're happy. You got what you wanted, the ranch, the control, everything. But you lost me, and you'll never get me back. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed, I lost you a long time ago. You just didn't notice. I hit send. Then I turned off my phone. The next morning, I woke up early. The ranch was quiet. The horses were grazing. The sun was rising over the mountains. I stood on the porch with my coffee and looked at everything my father had built. Everything I'd protected. Everything that would outlast me. And for the first time in weeks, I felt at peace. 3 days later, Ruth called. Graham, I need to tell you something. What? The county finalized the records. The sale attempt is officially voided. And Colton's interest in the trust has been suspended per the respect clause. He's been removed as a beneficiary. Permanently? Unless the trustee reinstates him, which would require significant evidence of changed behavior and respect. That's up to you. It won't happen. I figured. Just wanted you to know it's done. Thank you, Ruth. I hung up. I went outside. Nolan was fixing a fence post. I walked over. It's official, I said. He's out. Nolan stopped hammering. How do you feel? Relieved, sad, both. That's fair. Yeah. We worked in silence for a while. Then Nolan said, You think he'll ever come back? No. You sure? I'm sure. What if he does? Then I'll deal with it. But I'm not holding my breath. Nolan nodded. All right then. That afternoon, I got a letter in the mail from Kira Gent's attorney. It was a formal notice of intent to sue for breach of contract and misrepresentation. I called Evelyn. They're suing, I said. Let them. They don't have a case. How do you know? Because they relied on false information from the sellers. That's not your fault. And the trust documents are ironclad. They'll drop it once their lawyer reviews the paperwork. And if they don't, then we go to court. And we win. You sound confident. I am. Your father made sure of that. I hung up. I tossed the letter in the trash. 2 weeks later, the lawsuit was dropped. Kira Gent issued a public apology saying there had been miscommunication about the property ownership. Todd Emery moved on to another property in Wyoming. Derek Sloan stopped calling, and Colton disappeared. No calls, no texts, nothing. Bree posted on social media about their new beginning in Toronto. She didn't mention the ranch. She didn't mention me. I didn't care. The ranch was safe. The horses were healthy. The work continued. And that was enough. One evening, I was sitting on the porch watching the sunset when Marla drove up. Brought you something, she said, handing me a casserole. You didn't have to do that. I know. But I wanted to. We sat together in silence for a while. Then she said, You did good, Graham. You held the line. I just protected what was mine. That's more than most people can say. She stood up to leave. Then she paused. Your father would be proud. You know that, right? I hope so. I know so. She drove off. I sat there with the casserole in my lap, watching the sky turn from orange to purple to black. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I'd won something. Not against Colton, not against Bree. Against the part of me that wanted to give up. The part that wanted to let them win just to keep the peace. I'd held the line. I'd stood my ground. And the ranch was still here, still standing, still mine. That was enough. That night, I slept better than I had in months. And when I woke up the next morning, the sun was shining, the horses were waiting, and the work was calling. I got dressed, I went outside, and I got to work. Because that's what I do. That's who I am. I'm Graham Ellery. And this is my home.